All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford and what experts are beginning to say about the fight, including Shawn Porter and some former fighters that I talked to, and it ain't looking good for Bud. Let's talk about that in this video. Right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the welterweight division, still talking about the aftermath of Errol Spence Jr. versus Yordenis Ugas, but looking forward to hopefully getting a great fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. Shawn Porter speaks out about what he thinks is going to take place in the fight. Also, other boxers have beginning to speak out after this fight with Errol Spence Jr. And also there's been some noticeable silence from certain supporters of Terence Crawford that actually ring louder than words, in my opinion. But before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber to the channel, thank you guys so much for your support. If you are new to the channel and this is the first time you've watched a video, please accept my invitation. Press that subscribe button and then hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. All right, and also, if you do wager on sports, make sure that you sign up. Deposit $10 at busr.com and you can take advantage of promotional code Fanon and the different promotions that we have on a regular basis. So let's get into this. All right, so Errol Spence Jr. had a fight with Yordenis Ugas, absolutely dominated Yordenis Ugas, beat Yordenis Ugas up very, very badly, broke his nose. From all of the injuries, these are the injuries that I've heard, one of which has been verified by Yordenis Ugas. I've heard the broken orbital bone, that was verified by Yordenis Ugas. I've heard a broken nose. I've heard broken ribs. I've heard three different broken sets of broken bones on Yordenis Ugas's body from Errol Spence Jr.'s absolutely animal-like savage attack on that man in that fight. It was absolutely, the best I've seen Errol Spence Jr. look. But in fact, in some ways, Errol looked like, he had been out of the ring for a while in the beginning of the fight, really kind of overshooting some big shots on the inside in the beginning of the fight. However, his physicality, his work rate, and just the strength, the consistent thudding strength of his shots on the inside just made it look like to me that he was in a better shape than he had been in probably since the Leonard Bundu fight, if not even in better shape than the Leonard Bundu fight. Now, he credits to that to the fact that he's been in the gym consistently for the last 2 years, where he hadn't been doing that before. Also hired a nutritionist so that he could make the weight the right way. He didn't have to get in sauna suits or get in a hot bath and try to sweat the weight, off of him. He did it with exercise and he did it with proper nutrition. So he was able to come in the fight really, really strong, and it showed. Now, the result of this, though, is that there's been a lot of people that I've heard who are readjusting their thoughts on what they believe is going to take place with this Terence Crawford fight. And for example, Shawn Porter said that he could not. After that fight, he couldn't rightfully pick Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr. You have other people that are talking about the fact that Errol Spence Jr. knows a coach named Jalil Hackett, I hope I'm not messing his name up, out of Philadelphia, and who's always doing interviews on YSM, talked about the fact that Errol Spence Jr. knows the great secret that a lot of people don't know about boxing. Well, two things that they mentioned was, one, that he knows a lot of people don't like to fight or do not want to actually go through the punishment that Errol is willing to put you through and willing to take himself fighting on the inside like that to get a win, right? And he talks about how Errol was not just, hitting a big thudding shot cleanly on your chin, but how he's hitting you on your elbows, he's hitting you on your arm, he's hitting you on your neck, he's hitting on your collarbone, he's hitting you on your shoulders, he's hitting you on your hips, he's hitting you pretty much everywhere with big, thudding, consistent shots that make people take second thoughts and say, man, do I really, really, really want to go through this fight and win this fight this way? And pretty much that's what he did to Yordenis Ugas, is that he just, at a certain point in time, he's like, Yordenis Ugas had to say, man, is it really worth all of this, to get through to this win? And the answer for Yordenis Ugas was, I think the answer was yes. However, when those thudding shots that continually hit on you start fracturing bones, hey, man, you can only do so much. So take this forward to Terence Crawford. And guys like Shawn Porter, who were saying Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford was going to beat Errol Spence Jr. before, have now, pretty much changed their minds. You got Tim Bradley, who is usually out there, unless somebody's seen something that I haven't seen, who's usually out there quick to talk about what's going to happen, has been silent as a mouse. Andre Ward Andre Ward, also somebody that's more of a supporter of Terence Crawford, silent as a mouse. Now their silence doesn't necessarily mean that they've changed their picks. However, there's no way that I don't believe there's any way that you can look at that fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Yordenis Ugas and use that and then look back in the fight with Shawn Porter or Danny Garcia or Mikey Garcia and not believe what Errol Spence Jr. was saying coming all the way into the fight, which was that he wasn't all the way there for those fights because he was not training properly, because he was blowing up in weight in between fights, and his dedication to the game was not there. After the car accident, his dedication to the sport returned because he felt like he got a second shot at life, and he moved out to the country. He basically living the Spartan life, living the Spartan life, being very focused on boxing and getting back to watching boxing matches watching boxing matches and studying boxing matches, and not just thinking about it like preparing for the fight whenever the fight came up, right? So he said that was the case, and he changed that after the car accident. But with Danny Garcia, that his body, he wasn't all the way back to his absolute potential because, he had a major car accident. He came back, I'm not sure, was that 10, 11 months after that. So that was enough time to get in shape and to be able to fight and win at the world-class level, but not enough for him to reach his full strength, his full potential of his strength and focus and all of that stuff. But this, after going through 2 training camps, one with Manny Pacquiao, then the second one with Yordenis Ugas, that he was there, man. Now, what I believe exactly what Mr. Hackett said, and I believe what Shawn Porter's saying, that is going to, Terence Crawford at 34 years old, maybe 35 by the time that fight happens. Who knows if that fight is going to happen quickly. I think that it is very hard to consider Terence Crawford a favorite for that fight because of the style of that fight and the fact that Errol Spence Jr. he's a different level fighter now than he was in the last 3 fights before the Yordenis Ugas fight. And I have a suspicion that he's going to be even a higher level and a more ramped up fighter when he fights Terence Crawford. So the idea that, Terence Crawford is going to stay on the outside, slip and pot shot his way out of that fight, I just think is a very, very hard notion for me to accept. And if he's not able to do that, he's really going to get tested like he has never been tested before in a fight that Errol Spence Jr. does not mind fighting. So it's just going to be real interesting. Hopefully the fight gets made. There's some whispers out there that Bud is going to try to find a way not to make that fight. I certainly hope not. I'm gonna stay positive in that regard. But anyway, that's my thought on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.